What is the unit rate of pesos per dollar from this table? So what they gave us was dollars for 1 peso, which is a unit rate, but this is just the different unit rate, okay? Which is all right. So let's look at this, and it doesn't matter which rate we use, but we can use that unit rate. Right now we got $3 for 1 peso. I don't know what the sign is for pesos, so I'm just going to put P. But what we want is to figure out how many pesos there would be for $1. So we need to take $3 and make it $1 by dividing by 3. And I'll take the 1 and divide that by 3 as well. I would keep this as a fraction. You could use the decimal if you wanted 0.3 repeating, and it would be the same. But this is the unit rate of pesos for $1. So at this rate, how many pesos could you get for $8? So right here we have $1 for a third of a peso. But what we want is to figure out how many pesos for $8.
Yes.
So what would we do? We'd multiply that by 8 to get the $8. So 1/3 times the 8.
8/3.
Yeah, I'm going to write this as a fraction. 8/3, 2 2/3, 2.6 repeating pesos. So what is the unit rate of dollars per peso? And this was an answer right here. Well, that was already in the table at $3 per 1 peso. So at this rate, how many dollars could you get for 18.60 pesos? So I'm going to use the $3 for 1 peso on this so that I can just scale the pesos. So I got $3, 1 peso, and I want to figure out how many dollars this is for 18.60 pesos. So I would take the 1 and multiply it by 18.6. And I take the 3 and multiply that by 18.6 as well. So it appears this would be $55.80 for the 18.60 pesos. Then finally, if you have 0 pesos, how many dollars is that worth? How many dollars is 0 pesos worth?
0.
Yep. No pesos, no dollars. Bam.
So basically, if you have
In 1.5 hours, Sebastian can walk 4.5 miles. Find his average speed in miles per 1 hour. So I'm going to change these to decimals right up in here. We can see that this would be 1.5 hours for 4.5 miles.
my pencil's not working.
So we could do that. We could do, it's 1/2, which is the same as 1 divided by 2, like this. 2 doesn't go into 1, but it will go into 10 exactly 5 times. So that's where we get those decimals from. All right, so this gives us the rate. And right there, wants it per 1 mile. So I got 1.5 hours for 4.5 miles. But what I really want to figure out is how many hours to go 1 mile. And we can see up in here that to make 4.5 a 1, we'd have to divide it by itself, which is the nice thing about unit rates. So I'll take the 1.5 and divide that by 4.5 as well. And we should get 0.3 repeating, which also is 1/3. All right, so it's 1/3 of an hour for 1 mile. But then it asks us to figure out how many hours it would take to go 3/4 of a mile.
Oh, that's fine.
So I just need to change 1 mile to 3/4. So if I multiply that by 3/4, I'll get 3/4.
Where'd you get the 3/4?
So I got to do the same thing to the hours though. Multiply that by 3/4. Now if I do this, I'll do this down here. 1/3 times 3/4. Some of you guys would cross, cancel, or simplify that. We don't have to though. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. And this is simplifiable by 3 each.
That's a lot of steps.
Yeah, so I mean it's up to you. 1/4.
I don't really like it.
So this is 1/4 of an hour to go 3/4 of a mile. Bam, there it is. All right, the table shows the rate of number of home runs to the number of swings. And right there, it did give us the unit rate with 7 swings for 1 home run. So we should be able to change this to home runs per, again, it may be helpful to see that as 1 swing.
Swings per game.
So home runs per swing. And right up at here, we got 1 home run.
Lemire.
That's home runs, not hours, for 7 swings.
I mean, I could guess.
But what we want to figure out is how many home runs for 1 swing. So, we would take the 7 and divide it by 7 to get the 1.
Do 0.7.
And the 1 divided by 7 as well, which would give us 1/7. So that's that answer, and it gives us the other unit rate, by the way. But now it wants to know how many home runs about we would get for 30 swings. So we can take that same rate, 1/7 home runs
I'd say 4
for 1 swing,
and.
and we'll figure this out for 30 swings.
Ooh, I think I have it.
Yeah, right here, to get the 1 swing to 30, we would multiply the swings by 30
So,
to give us 30 swings. So we'll take the 1/7 and multiply that by 30.
So how much home runs would you get?
Now as a fractions, it's 37ths.
yes, with your clock.
Alright, so that's about 4.3 home runs. Just throw it away. What is the unit rate of swings per home run? Well, it told us
1 home run.
it takes 7 swings
For 17.
for every 1 home run. At this rate, if the batter has 9 home runs, how many swings would they get? So we're going to use the home run unit rate. So that's 1 home run for every 7 swings. And now we're going to compare this with 9 home runs and how many swings. So to do this, we'd do 1 times 9 to give us the 9 homers.
Oh, that means.
So 7 times the niner,
Wait, let me do this.
63 swings for 9 home runs.
It's green.
The graph shows the amount Gabby makes based on the number of hours she works. Complete the table to show this relationship. Alright, so we can see that the table doesn't tell us anything, neither do the words, but the graph does on this one. So what's important enough for us to see on this, and this is why labels are important, because if we don't label these, it's kind of hard to tell exactly where they are. But we can see that the 25 line connects with this point right here. So this was 2 hours for 25 bucks. This next one is 4 for 50. Then we got 6 for 75. And then finally 8 for 100. There's another 0 there. So now that we have these labeled, oh yeah, and there's just 1 0 0. That's a good one. Now that we have these labeled, hopefully it should make a little bit more sense with what the table should look like. Even though now we can't see those lines in this light, but we should be able to see those values using these points. So we should be able to fill these in. For 2 hours, we see you'd get 25 bucks. 4 hours was 50, and then 6 was 75 bucks. So the question is, how much money would be earned for 1 hour of time? So again, I would set this up using a proportion or the fractions, the ratios. So let's set this up first, and then we can figure that out, right? So first in my fraction, I can put my hours right here, and then I can put my dollars. Doesn't matter where I put those though, okay? But I can see for 2 hours, I can get 25 bucks. So the question, and this helps us because it's the unit rate, is how many dollars would this be for 1 hour? So the question is, how do we get 2 hours to 1 hour?
To divide by
You divide it by 2, right? So the 25 divided by 2 as well, and that gives us $12.50. So in the table, we can come back to where it says 1 hour and put in $12.50. See, now that we have this unit rate, the others should be pretty easy to find, because now when I set this equal to 3 hours, like this one right here, and I want to figure out my monies, I would take my 1 hour and multiply it by 3, get this 3 hours, and I'd multiply the $12.50 by 3 as well, and that looks like it would be, bam, $37.50. I can reuse that fraction by just simply replacing these values with whatever values need to go there. So the next hours, we already know 4 hours, but we need to know 5 hours. So we'll take the 1 times the 5 and the $12.50 times the 5 as well. And it looks like we should get $62.50. So we can write that in as well. $62.50. A says, what is Gabby's hourly wage, which is how many dollars Gabby makes per 1 hour?
12.50.
And yeah, we see that this is $12.50 per 1 hour. And as an ordered pair, that was 1 and then $12.50 as the ordered pair. If Gabby works for 7 hours, how much money will Gabby make? Explain how you got your answer. So we'll just show our work on this one. So I'm just going to come back here up to the top.
Plus 12.
And I'm going to replace the 5 with 7 hours of work, right?
And then
So let's replace those with 7.
Oh crap. Gosh dang it.
And then I've got $12.50 times 7.
7 hours.
You did.
Bam. So how do we get that? Well, we just scaled the 1 hour up to the 7 hours. We use the unit rate
Yeah, that we already
7
got.
times. Yep.
And
Very
then we
good.
times the time by 7.
All right, and then finally, how many hours does Gabby need to work to earn $150? So I'm going to go back to because the $12.50 is kind of helpful, but it's hard to know what to multiply that by to get $150. But if I look and use actually, if I went and use the 4 hours for $50, so I got 4 hours and $50. And what I want this to be equal to is $150, right? How many hours would Gabby need to work? So 50 times what is 150? That's 3, very good. So I got to multiply the 4 by 3 as well. Yep, and you get 12 hours.
That's smart.
So it looks like Gabby will need to work 12 hours
To get 150.
to make $150. The problem with Rakesh, right? So the table is what was given. So those are the values that we have. The problem is that they put flour in for the water value. So 1, 2, for example,
Yeah.
right there, 1 flour and 2 waters would be
They
this point right
first
here.
added the water and then the flour.
So yeah, they just haven't switched. They did the Y value first, which
Yeah.
is the water,
But it's supposed to be the eggs first.
but it was supposed to be the flour.
So
instead.
it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, and we could put these points on there too, and then
Already
4,
did it. Don't
3,
forget
and
about
then
0.
6. Yeah, very good. Well, yeah, that's good. 0, 0. And then 4, then 8, and then 5 and 10.